each, yeah, they're all gonna get one. So basically, since we're recording it, I'm gonna go through the over process as well. I'm Beth from Murray, sorry. And this is Julie. She is in our Boise office here. And I primarily handle just retirees now. We have a lot of school districts and kind of on a road tour right at the moment. So thanks for coming out in the middle of the day. It's been kind of hard to schedule. But basically, I'm gonna go through the process. For you folks that are retiring that are under 65, it's really easy. You know, the process starts, you giving your intent to retire with the district. Your first phone call really should be to Percy. So if you haven't called Percy, give them a call because they have a packet of information for you to fill out. Just get your retirement check. Next phase is really my process, especially if you're over 65. I have to help you guys through getting you onto Medicare as of September 1, because have to get through that step if you're over 65. But if you're under 65, really it's pretty easy. You just can keep the medical, dental, vision if you're on it currently, and a small life policy. You can keep those benefits through the district and have it paid through your Percy Sick Bank. And does everybody know what the Percy Sick Bank is? Okay. So basically, we have all the applications. Normally, you can just stay on your regular plan that you're currently on. You can make changes if you want for September 1. And this would be the time if you wanted to like change up the medical option. Dental and vision are going to stay the same, as well as the life policy. But really, you're just going to fill out the apps for the benefits you want to keep. We have the district sign off on those applications. They send them back to our office. We get these applications back to the carriers, Blue Cross, United Heritage is the other one for vision and life. And then as of September 1, they start billing Percy for your benefits out of your sick bank.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so where I'm just a month,
Yeah,
what happens there?
I'll talk about that.
Okay.
I'll get there for you. So just to let you know, Percy, I get this question asked a lot. What happens when my Percy sick bank is exhausted? What happens? So Percy will let you know about 3 months or so before your bank's exhausted, and they'll just tell you flat out, we're going to continue paying your benefits right out of your retirement check. No break in coverage. They found at their end that was just the easiest thing for them to do. If you don't want them to do that, we can set it up at that point as a direct bill then from like Blue Cross to you if you don't want your check messed up, at all. Most people kind of let it roll over into their Percy check. So basically, you don't have to drop benefits if you don't, just because that sick bank is exhausted, you can keep your benefits. And honestly, until you're 65, it's probably one of your best options. Even if your bank runs out. The only other real option out there is individual plans, and they're not great, and they're pretty expensive. The only benefit to those is if you can qualify to get them subsidized. They really then are, I just call them Obamacare plans, because that's what everybody kind of knows them to be. And really, Obamacare plans are just the same individual plans, but you, based on your household income, might get a subsidy to help pay for them. So it can, you can always look at that if your bank exhausts, and you could technically, if you wanted to, roll off of it and see if you can get like a subsidized plan up until Medicare. And I'm going to jump into Medicare because that really brings your premiums down at that point. But that's really your only other option. Most of the retirees that I have talked to over the years, they don't qualify for those plans. You might now, honestly, since Biden's come in, he has reduced the income levels down or actually, I should say he has bumped them up. So you might even now. It's just too new kind of to tell. So that's really it in a nutshell for the under 65s. If you have any questions, if you want to fill out the forms while we're here, if you know the plans you want to keep, Julie has rates. They're kind of in negotiations right at the moment, so are they
Do they
still?
need this too?
Yeah, they do. So, yeah,
When the Percy notifies you that a few months that your bank has run out,
Mhm.
do they let you know at the end of his high school year about too?
they don't.
They
They
don't, so
just pay it.
they just pay it, okay.
But you can see like when you, Percy really encourages you to set up a online account. And when you do, you can see how much is coming out. Like, I think you can go into one of your pages and it'll say sick leave balance. And it will show you every month what's coming out. So you'll have a good idea
Okay,
what to anticipate.
And then do they reissue a card to you at some point?
If it all kind of depends. If you all stay on the same plan you're currently on and there's no changes, typically Blue Cross may, if they tweak any of the benefits, you're gonna get a new card for September 1 anyway. So I never know what the district's doing. It's going to kick out a new card for you. Under 65, no. Do any of you have spouses on coverage that you're keeping on?
I'm actually on my husband's,
Oh, okay,
because he works for the district as well.
okay. And is he under 65? Perfect. So, yeah, unless the district makes any kind of like a copay change or something like that, or if you choose to flip over September 1 to a different deductible plan, you will get a new card, but chances are you won't.
But you're no longer under the district's health insurance plan, you're now under Percy's health insurance.
No, you're still under the school
District.
district.
So
Under
can you
the
still
district.
opt to do the high deductible? Oh,
Yeah. Yep. And some people do, because then theoretically, when you retire, even though Percy is paying it out of your bank, you're still kind of paying it. That's your money, but you're paying it. So I will have folks, if they're on the really good deductible plan, they'll step it down, that's your choice, you can.
but obviously the district isn't going to kick in the $58
No.
anymore.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah,
One of the things that I ran into was when I signed up for my benefits, there was a mistake, I guess, in the form. This was just this last year.
yes.
And it messed up my dental, I believe, what dental program I was on.
Okay,
And one of the gals caught it and called me and said, which one did you really want? And so she had to go back.
Me.
Oh, was it you?
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
catching that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That is true because, thank you, that's a good lead-in for dental because the district has Willamette Dental or just regular PPO Blue Cross Dental. So that's on this form, this is your medical dental application right here. So to continue those two benefits, you have to fill this out. And then there's two places on the back you sign. The district signs off on the bottom of the second page. But down here under 65 box, do they have HSA and PPO?
Yep.
Okay. So if you're on the PPO plan and you want to stay on it, you just mark the PPO box for employee. And then the dental, if you're on Willamette, that's called Dental Blue Connect. So you mark that box. Otherwise, you're just on the regular PPO dental and you mark the box above it. So, yeah, thank you. Because that's something kind of gets lost in translation a lot.
Yeah.
And even Blue Cross, you'll mark the right box and then they'll put you on the wrong box. So I'll give you all my card. Because I do a lot of cleanup.
Could I ask one more question?
Yeah.
So on the other side of the sick leave, if you have more sick leave and you don't use it all, will they also notify you and say, what do you want to do with this? Or
No, so what happens, let's just talk about Medicare. Because what will happen is you stay on the under 65 plan, and I'll just give you all a heads up what Blue Cross does. So they know you're about to turn 65. So about 3 months before your birthday, they're gonna say, and you'll be a little different, and you will too, I'll have to probably talk to you guys a little differently. But Blue Cross will send you a big packet and they'll say, hey, retiree, we know you're turning 65, November 1. And it'll be like, you'll probably get it in August, or you should. And they'll say, hey, if you have sick leave dollars left, or even if you don't, you just want to stay with a Blue Cross plan, we will roll you over to a Medicare plan. And you have to, if you have sick leave balance dollars and you want that to continue to pay, you have to take a Blue Cross Medicare plan. Okay? And this is primarily what I do at the office is Medicare. And Blue Cross has decent Medicare plans. They're right in there with everybody else. So if you have a lot of sick leave dollars left, definitely, we'll roll you in to a Medicare plan.
And they just do that automatically?
Well, that's Beth.
Okay,
Yeah, I kind of have to help you through that process because you first and foremost have to get Medicare. So 3 months before your 65th birthday, you jump in, and unless you're drawing Social Security already, Medicare isn't going to send you a card automatically. You have to reach out to them and say, hey, I want my Medicare. There's a couple of ways to do that. I get a lot of those calls. We either get you online to medicare.gov and you can do it online. That's the easiest. If you want to call them, they're really good. I suggest you call the local office. I think for you guys is that Kimball. There's two. There's Boise and Kimball. So Kimball.
yeah.
They're really good. They'll probably set you up a phone appointment and then they'll call you and just do exactly the same process just over the phone. But start that 3 months before because it takes them a while to get you into the system and process up with both your Medicare A and B. And then about a month after you do that, you get the card. And then once you get your card, call me, and then I explain the Medicare options that you can roll into with Blue Cross and keep it coming out of Percy.
Do you have to pay the B part,
You do.
no matter what?
So let's talk about Medicare, just so you know. Medicare is just the name of your federal health plan that you all get because you've paid into Social Security taxes for at least 10 years or have a spouse that has. It's confusing because they chunked it into two parts. Makes no sense. I think in 1965 when it came out, it made sense to chunk it into those parts because in 65, well, I should back up. They chunked it into Part A and Part B. Part A covers you if you are admitted into the hospital or a skilled nursing facility or blood, but just a small few benefits. Part B covers you for everything else except prescriptions. But Part A and B are your main benefits through the feds. I think back in 65, they chunked it up because most people just wanted Part A. They wanted help paying for hospitalizations. They didn't really at that point need to pay for Part B. Now you do, because now medical is expensive. So Part A is free. This really pertains to like folks that keep working past 65. I encourage you to at least just take Part A, but you really don't need Part B because you have to pay for Part B. And if you're still working and have your employer coverage, most people don't take it until after they fully
And they don't
retire.
have to pay for it?
Medicare is confusing. They put on all of their literature, you better take it or you're gonna get penalized. But if you continue to work, and then when you do jump in after 65, there's just a form that the employer fills out for you on your behalf. You send it to them, and then that gets you out of the little penalty they want to give you because they don't know that you've been working. So as long as you've been working, this is just a side note, it really won't pertain to any of you unless you really leave the district and then go get another job maybe and start on their benefits and work past 65. And then this will apply to you. Let's say you work till 67. Now you really want to jump in take A at 65 because it's free, but B, you don't really have to, and I suggest you don't, because right now Medicare Part B costs $148.50 a month. And why get it if you have an employer group plan that's paying your premiums for you? And employer group plans are good. So that's kind of the process if you keep working, but if none of you keep working, you just contact Social Security or go online 3 months before, because you're eligible the first day of the month that your birthday falls into. Unless your birthday's the first day of the month, then they give it to you a month prior or ahead. So just so you know, nobody's on the first, are they? Birthday? Okay. So if your birthday is October 15th, you're effective October 1st, but you want to start that process in like July because it takes them a while. So for you guys, start that process 3 months early. You're going to get this packet from Blue Cross that says, hey, we know you're doing it. And they're going to say, hey, get Medicare going because we want you to. And then they're going to send you this letter that I'm going to work with them on because it's kind of confusing. And that's where I usually get a call because they really promote one plan option out there that most people don't take any longer. It's really old and very expensive, but it is very exclusive to school district retirees in Idaho. And there are 2 options under this umbrella, but they're very expensive. And Blue Cross has since incorporated just mainstream Medicare options that you can select and have Percy paid. So they did that about 10 years ago because they could see these 2 options really starting to climb. And these 2 options right now are $344 a month and $944 a month. So people get this letter and I think they think that's the only option they have. And then right at the bottom of the letter, it says, or if you want a Blue Cross supplement or a Blue Cross Med Advantage plan, call these numbers. And people don't understand what that means. So they just sign up for these plans. They're very expensive. They're good plans, but the other 2 options are just as good.
All right, so are those, is that different than option C and D?
So let me jump into Medicare.
Okay.
So we got to get you through, I kind of lump it into buckets. You've got your federal benefit, A and B. Got to do that. Totally separate from your school district benefits. So you get A and B, what do you do with it? Because really just A and B of Medicare don't cover all your costs. In a nutshell, they cover about 80%. So most people combine it with something. And that gets even more confusing because there's a million options out there. Who do you pick? Who do you talk to? So I can tell you if you have sick bank left, you have to take a Blue Cross Medicare plan. If you don't have to. You can roll out and do whatever you want. But my little explanation on Medicare pertains to any Medicare plans out there. I don't care if you go with Blue Cross or Pacific Source or Humana or AARP. You can take all of the plans that you see out there and get bombarded with the closer you get to Medicare because they want you. You can lump them into 2 different plan types. You can lump them into a supplement to Medicare, or the other type is what they call a Med Advantage type of plan. Everything falls into this or this vein. I start with supplements because they're really easy. A supplement to Medicare is going to be identified by a letter. The plan is named by a letter. Plan G right now is the hot supplement. Used to be F got sunsetted. So G right now is a really nice plan. And every insurance carrier that sells Medicare sells a G. It's the same plan. I don't care if you get it from Blue Cross or Regents. Same plan, but each carrier will assign a different price tag to theirs. But I will tell you, all the carriers in Idaho are probably within $30 to $40 of each other per month. Okay, Blue Cross is kind of in the middle with their Plan G price. So G is really nice because pretty much what Medicare does not cover will roll over to the G, and G will pick it up and pretty much cover it in full, except G has a one-time $200 deductible per year that you have to get through. After that, everything's covered in full.
Because the F plan used to be 185,
The F plan was, there was no deductible on F.
but is it Medicare that you're paying the 185 then on?
148.
I'm going off of what my husband, what I'm paying for him.
Okay,
So,
I bet if he's on F, that's probably what his premium is a month.
well, I know the premium is, yeah, right at 150.
Okay, so F, you have to pay your Part B premium. On average, it's $148.50. If you file as a joint couple and make over $175,000 a year, they're going to up that premium on you. So if you don't fall over that, he should be, well, and it depends on when he came into Medicare. And if he's drawing Social Security, he's not, okay, then he's probably paying $148.50 if you fall
Yeah,
under
that's
that.
what we pay.
Okay,
But the Humana is what he has, the F plan,
yeah, and that's probably $150 a month,
somewhere right in there, yeah.
and everything on an F is covered in full.
Yes.
Yes. So they sunsetted that in 2020, can't get into F, coming brand new into Medicare. G's the next best thing to F. But G has a 200 deductible, but F doesn't. So, and that's on everything outpatient. If you land in the hospital on a G from day one, you're covered in full. It's a good plan as well.
What's the monthly rate on it?
Right now, Blue Cross's G at 65 is 166 a month. So like, yours is 150, little cheaper.
It goes up though,
Yeah.
because it started out 130
Yeah,
a couple years ago, and
Yeah.
it keeps climbing.
they do. These plans go up like this. $3, $5, $10, or they'll level out for a year or two. Then they'll do this.
And I was glad we had it.
Yeah, this is the best plan. I'm not kidding. It's a G is as well.
And
No.
it is dental?
No,
Oh,
No,
so dental is you
Yes.
have to get it, okay.
yeah. So
Just medical.
vision, dental, you can keep with the district if you want.
and there's no prescriptions on those either.
Yeah. That's true. So there's pros and cons on both plan types. So a G is just a great medical plan, but it does not embed prescriptions benefits into it or dental or vision. So if you like that plan option, you can, and you have an application in front of you to keep, well, the dental, that's on the Blue Cross plan, or a vision plan if you need that. The thing though is you take it now or you don't get it later. You can't like defer it. Well, you can defer benefits. If you're gonna go work somewhere else and have those benefits, you can defer your sick bank and plan options. That's another thing there's just so much,
Is that what Sydney's gonna do when she's on Joe's insurance until he retires?
I could, they told me I could take his, but it's like $30 difference between what I pay and what he would have to pay for me.
to keep you on his plan. The one nice thing I will, just a side note, is if you take your own benefits, it kind of defers, if he keeps you on his, it depletes his sick bank twice as much. You know what I mean?
Well, it wouldn't deplete his sick bank because he's not retired.
Right. He's gonna work for another year,
Oh,
I
and
could
she's
be on-
retiring now, so.
oh, okay, I'm
So,
sorry.
but didn't I hear you say that he's gonna keep you on his insurance?
He could, yeah.
Yes, I see, yeah, that's true,
And so she's deferring,
yes,
using her sick leave until he
Yes.
retires.
yes,
And
Yes.
is that a wise thing to do?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
So I think I hear you saying if you take A, B, and G, it's going to cost you about $300 a month. But there will be no prescription benefits in that,
Mhm.
and no vision or optical.
Mhm.
But it will pretty much cover everything other than, and that if we have enough sick leave in banked, they'll
Mhm.
just keep drawing and paying for those benefits until it runs out. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes,
Or if it does run out, can we just go ahead and pay it outright for the vision and the?
Just because, like I said, just because your sick bank is empty, doesn't mean you have to come off benefits. You just have to pay. So,
And I'm sure Beth will bring this up when she talks about Med Advantage, but the biggest difference of the supplemental plan is that you can access care nationwide. So if a lot of people are like snowbirds, you know, and go to Arizona or Florida for half the year, a supplemental plan would be a better option because you can access it nationwide.
yes.
Where the Med Advantage plans are typically, you know, just in the Treasure Valley or just in Idaho. So she'll talk about that, but that's a big difference depending on what your retirement looks like.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
So to keep going with the G, very rich, a little more expensive. Pros, pros are way good coverage. You can go anywhere with them in the US. As long as you see a doctor that accepts Medicare, they love those plans. And you're really hard pressed to find a doctor that doesn't, or a hospital, or medical system. So, like Julie said, if you plan on snowbirding in Arizona for half the year, that's a great plan for you, because you can access doctors down there, no issues. The cons are it's a little more expensive than the other plan option I'm gonna jump into here. And it doesn't have a prescription plan embedded into it.
And that's important because
Yeah.
I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
I needed lots of meds.
And we're gonna talk about
Okay,
prescriptions too, because that's a whole nother. So, but you can pair it with what they call a standalone prescription plan. It's just one more plan we have to add. So there's pros and cons, great plan, great coverage, go anywhere you want,
And that's the G.
Mhm.
Okay.
more expensive, and not a lot of the bells and whistles built into it, which is a good lead into the other option. That one does have. So this other option, everything you see, if it doesn't fall into a G or there's other supplements too, like F, like your husband's grandfathered onto it because he got into it before they shut it down. There's K, L, N. They're not as good as G. And some of those are even more expensive than a G. So I really highly recommend a G if you're going that route. But the other thing that really you see probably way more of on TV in your mailbox, people call you, they're not supposed to, is Med Advantage plans. Those came out about 20-something years ago. And for lack of a really bad explanation here, the feds who run your Medicare went out to all these insurance companies and said, hey, Blue Cross, Regents, Humana, if you develop your own Medicare plan and people sign up for it through you, then we'll reimburse you in the background to run it for us. So essentially the feds are paying these carriers about $1,000 a month that's a very approximate. It depends on your zip code in the US. But in Idaho, I want to say it's probably about $1,000 a month to outsource your Medicare to these insurance companies to run for them. So now, boy, every company jumped on that bandwagon. Blue Cross actually down here has 8 versions of this plan. Most of them have 2 or 3 versions, but they're all the same beast. I don't care where you buy it, it's the same beast. This plan now is run by the insurance carrier. They call the shots. Little more cumbersome than just a supplement. Okay, these plans, they're gonna wanna keep you in the state you purchased it in, and each state sells their own. It's all state specific. You live in Idaho, you have to buy an Idaho one. They wanna keep all your routine care here in Idaho. You're always covered for urgent and emergent care while you're outside, of Idaho traveling or whatever. But, if you wanted to go to U of W for something, because you want to, and they're the best cancer doctor for this, your plan's gonna go now. You're gonna stay in Idaho. We've got people that can do that. The pros on these plans is because they're subsidized, they're really cheap. You can get, down here in your area, you have 3 0 premium plans. They don't cost you anything. So, and then they have a $23 plan and then a few up. But they're They're great for your budget. But I always tell folks, if you're looking at these plan types, really stay with, and if you have sick bank, you have to go Blue Cross. But if you don't, you're kind of interested in these plans, do more of a local carrier, Idaho carrier, like a Blue Cross, a Pacific Source, a Regents, because they know their state, they know their doctors. You have to stay within their list of contracted doctors. You just can't go to anybody. So do local. They're usually contracted with most of them. These plans are also, every time you access a benefit, like go to the doctor, you're gonna have a copay. It's kind of like a group plan. So you see a specialist, you're gonna have a higher copay. If you land in the hospital, you're gonna have a copay per day, usually depending on the plan, up to 4 or 5 days. And the average copay per day is about $300. If you're in after those day limits, you're covered in full, but if you're in a day, you're gonna owe them $300. So these plans, even though they're cheaper, if you're having a lot of health issues, these copays and everything can start adding up. You also have to get prior authorizations for a lot of stuff as well. Supplement, you don't have to. It's pretty much Medicare covers it, they cover it, the supplement will cover it as a secondary, no questions asked. Very little, I don't even know if anybody's ever had to get something authorized on those plans. They're very nice and easy to use. But that's kind of in a nutshell Medicare. Everything you see out there either falls into a supplement type of plan or a Med Advantage type of plan. And I'm gonna tell you, most people I talk to, half of my book of people are on a supplement and half of them are on Med Advantage. Because Med Advantage is, even though it's really cost effective, they do take a lot of the extra benefits and include them into these plans, like dental, vision. They will give you a gym membership, either free or $50 a year. I mean, they just include a lot of extra little, I call them blingy benefits.
But don't they only cover in Idaho though?
Yeah, so let's, like if you're a snowbird, sometimes that's tough. A lot of folks will opt for more of the supplement version. I'm in Coeur d'Alene and we're really close to Spokane. And so a lot of people still love to go to Spokane. And I tell them, well, then you better stay on and get a supplement. That will let you access Spokane, no questions asked.
So my husband's plan, the Humana, that's a supplement, right?
It
He
is
can
a
go
supplement.
anywhere.
You can go anywhere.
Okay,
If that's what
I
he's
thought.
on, yes. Yes. I find a lot down here though, there's a lot of folks on Med Advantage because you guys have a really good health system down here. You got, St. Al, St. Luke's. I don't find a lot of people running out of state for care. Whereas we're so close to Washington, that is kind of an issue for some of the people up there. So that's when you guys get into Medicare options, that's really what you're looking at. And I don't care who's selling it to you. It falls into a supplement or a Med Advantage type of plan.
Beth, if you enroll in one,
Mhm.
how easy is it to switch to the other one?
Yeah, so.
Who's calling me? We're gonna ignore this.
So, great question. When you're Medicare eligible, Medicare has some rules. They don't care what plan type you jump into. You can have either or, no questions asked. But if you jump into a Med Advantage first and for some reason don't love it, and some people do because something happened and they're spending a lot of out of pocket or something's not getting authorized for them and they want to jump back to just regular old Medicare, they have 12 months to do it, no questions asked. Medicare says you can jump out. It's kind of your trial right, if you will. But if you wait longer than those 12 months and want to do it, you can always try. But now that insurance carrier that you're trying to jump onto, just a supplement, or you have to answer health questions. And if they don't like your health questions, they'll deny you. But I can give you, Blue Cross is one carrier that has their own internal rule that says if you join their plans and you join Med Advantage and you don't jump out within the first 12 months, if you stay and stay another 12 months for a total of 24 months and then want to jump out, they'll let you. No questions asked. You just fill out the new enrollment form for their supplement, G or K or L, whatever, which one you want, and they'll accept you. The only diagnosis they don't love is end-stage renal disease, which is kidney failure, and you're in a world of hurt by that time anyway, and you're probably on a different plan as is. But I've been doing this many years, and they've never changed that internal rule. So that's kind of nice, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a handful of people every year that they'll start off on Med Advantage because they're pretty healthy, no question, they're good. And then, say 5 years goes and something happens and they want to jump. I get this, usually they're living in Arizona half the year and they want to have surgery down there, have a lot of that. Or something big has happened and they just want to access usually care outside of Idaho. So that, just keep that in mind. I have a lot of folks that will jump into Med Advantage first because it really stretches their sick bank because they're cheap and they don't have a lot of health issues and they like the extra benefits they get. And then just a little heads up, Medicare has an open enrollment timeframe every year from October 15th through December 7th. And that's your timeframe to change plans if you're in Medicare. Have to be in Medicare. People think that's their time to enroll, and it's not. Everybody's time is different based on your birthday or coming off a birth plan. So that would be your time if you wanted to jump into a supplement if you've been on the Blue Cross Med Advantage plan for 24 months.
Give me the, what is it? The
October
dates?
15th through December 7th. And then any plan changes you make during that time frame, they'll take effect January 1. So.
When do we have to decide, well, obviously you're 65 for this, but when do we have to turn this in?
Kind of a district thing. I mean, here's the thing, the sooner the better. Because if we can, it's gonna start September 1, make sure you get your Percy in first. That's really first and foremost. Get that packet in so they can set up your account there. We get these rolling over to Blue Cross, the better, because I'm not gonna lie, there's many districts. I mean, it's not just people retiring September 1, it's school districts rolling over, new employees. It's a very busy time for Blue Cross and they can get backed up. So if we can get these apps for them, the better. Percy will reach out to the districts around July, I think, and say, hey, who's retiring? Send me their name and sick leave balance and things like that. And so July, usually Percy's on it. They'll get that all set up as well, as long as you have done everything prior to that with them. That's kind of the last thing they need. And then they're good to go. They just need Blue Cross to bill.
So if I turn in my Percy, just make sure I'm hearing you right, I turn in my Percy and now all I have to do is wait for July for that connection to be made.
Typically, yeah. And these applications for your health benefits.
Okay.
You kind of miss that. So it's, if you can keep the health benefits you have through the district. You just have to fill out an application. And that's what she was kind of talking about. is
Okay.
getting
Where are
these.
those?
Are you under or over 65?
I am under.
Okay, so this is for medical and dental.